Good morning, my friends. I hope you're having a good morning so far. Today in reading, what I would love to do is I would love to share with you one of my favorite stories for the end of the year, and it's called Petunia. It's a very old story, and it's about a goose who finds a book. And when she finds this book, she remembers hearing from someone that says, "He who owns a book is very wise." Well, Petunia learns a really valuable lesson in this story. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to sit back and listen to this story and see if you can figure out what lesson Petunia learns about just owning a book. She learns, is it important and does it make you wise just to own the book? So I want you to listen and see if you can figure out the very valuable lesson that Petunia learns in our story today. Okay? Petunia. In the meadow early one morning, Petunia, the silly goose, went strolling. She ate a bug here, clipped off a clover leaf there, and she picked at the dewdrops on the goldenrod leaves. So there's our friend Petunia, who our story is about. Then suddenly she saw something she had never seen before in the meadow. What was it? Petunia stole closer and closer and sniffed at it from all sides. "By goosey gander," she said, "it does not smell like food for a goose, but I believe I have seen such a thing before." Well, what does she find? A book. We know that, but she's a goose, a silly goose at that. "Yes, I have seen one under Bill's arm when he came out of school. It's a book. That's it, a book. Come to think of it, just the other day I heard Mr. Pumpkin tell Bill that books are very precious. He who owns books and loves them is wise." That is what he said. "He who owns books and loves them is wise," repeated Petunia to herself. And then she thought as hard and as long as she could. "Well then," she said at last, "if I take this book with me and love it, I will be wise too." What does it mean to be wise? Smart, make good decisions, exactly. "And no one will call me a silly goose ever again." So Petunia picked up the book and off she went with it. She slept with it. She swam with it. And knowing that she was so wise, Petunia also became proud. And prouder. And prouder. So proud that her neck stretched out several notches. So here she is. And sometimes when you become really, really, really proud of yourself, you don't think about other people. You're only thinking about yourself. So now Petunia is very proud of herself. It's one thing to be proud of yourself, like when we talk about Star of the Week and you're proud of something that you're able to do. This is a little different. Petunia is thinking she's more and more important, and she's starting to only think about herself, and you'll see. It was King the Rooster who first noticed the change in Petunia. He said, "Maybe Petunia is not so silly after all. She has a book and she looks so wise that she must be so." And the other animals all began to believe in Petunia's wisdom too. So they asked her for advice and opinions. And Petunia was glad to help, even when she was not asked. So they all think that she's wise just because she has that book. It's the only thing that's happened. Petunia grew still prouder, and her neck stretched out another notch. One day, Petunia heard Clover the cow say to King the Rooster, "I wonder what makes your comb so red, King, as red as the barn." "It's my blood," said King. "It's the color of my blood." "Nonsense," said Clover. "I have blood too, but I'm not a red cow. Your comb has been dipped in red barn paint. That's what makes it so red." So they're talking about this part of the rooster that's real red. And the rooster's saying, "Well, no, that's my blood up there. That's like part of who I am." And the cow is saying to him, "No, someone painted it." "You're both silly, of course," said Petunia. "King, your comb was stuck on by the farmer so he can tell you from the hens, and who knows legs and who doesn't. Plastic comb, I'd say." And so King never again shook his proud comb in song, for fear it might fall off. Poor sad rooster. So he used to be proud of his beautiful red feathers and shake them when he would do his cock-a-doodle-doo. And then Petunia told him, it was just stuck on by the farmer. It's not important. But Petunia had other things to do, and at the chicken coop, Ida, the hen, was cackling excitedly among her chicks. "Oh, Petunia," she said, "my chicks and I have been for walks in the woods, and I think I've lost some of them. The farmer says I had 9, but I can't count so very well. Please, wise Petunia, count my chicks to see if they're all here." "Glad to help," said Petunia. Let's see. 3 chicks at the fountain, 3 at the feeder, 3 about your legs. Now, 3 groups of 3, that makes 6. Well, let's see. 3, 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And another group of 3. 7, 8, 9. 6, said Ida. 6? Is 6 less than 9? Now, do we know, is 6 smaller than 9? We know it is. "That's more than 9, said Petunia, "not less. Lots more, my dear." Is Petunia right? More than 9? Good gracious, as if I hadn't enough worries about my own 9 chicks. And where do all these other chicks come from? Oh dear, I'll never be happy again, poor Ida worried. So now Ida's worried because she has more chicks than she thought she had. But Petunia had other things to do. In the meadow, she discovered parts of Noisy, the dog, sticking out of a hole in the ground. So there's Noisy, the dog, sticking out of the hole in the ground. "Help, help," cried Noisy. "I stuck my head in this rabbit hole and now I can't get it out. Help!" "Glad to help," said Petunia. "It's a good thing I know what hunters do to get stubborn animals out of holes in the ground. They smoke them out. Wait until I fetch some sticks and some matches." Well, she shouldn't be playing with matches. And so wise Petunia built a fire in the other end of the hole and fanned it well with the book. Well, her trick worked nicely. Noisy, choking with smoke, jerked his head out of the hole and ran off howling with pain. His nose was singed with fire and his ears were cut and bruised. Poor moaning dog. Is that a really smart way to do it? I don't think so. But Petunia had other things to do. Besides the hedgerow, she met Straw, the horse, who was in pain from a toothache. "Petunia," groaned Straw, "I'm dying. Surely with your wisdom you can stop this horrible toothache pain." "Glad to help," said Petunia. "Open your mouth. Why, you poor Straw, all those teeth you have. No wonder you have a toothache. Look at me. Do I have any teeth? Of course not. So I can't have a toothache. I'm going to stop that pain right now for you. I'm going to pull out all of your teeth. All of them. Let me get some tools." But Straw could not wait for the tools. He was so afraid to lose his teeth that he never told anyone about a toothache again. He suffered in silence. Poor horse. Did he have a toothache because he had teeth? But Petunia had other things to do. Cotton the kitten went up to the tree, but could not come down. So there she is. She's stuck up in the tree. While he meowed and meowed, his friends called for Petunia. "Glad to help," said Petunia. "I know just what to do. Since none of you is tall enough to reach Cotton, all of you will do it together. Donkey goes on top of Clover, pig on top of donkey, and so on in simple. So, Donkey climbed on top of Clover, pig on top of donkey, goat on top of pig, sheep on top of goat, piggy on top of sheep, turkey on top of piggy, duck on top of turkey, and hen on top of duck. Suddenly, Clover the cow cried out, "Stop! My wet legs feel wobbly." And she sat. And Donkey and the rest fell into a heap, and Cotton was so scared that he fell on top of them. They were all full of bumps. "Well," said Petunia, "Cotton is down." And so he was. Poor bruised Cotton. But Petunia had other things to do. Getting prouder all the time, she felt her neck stretch out further. So much you can't even see her on the page of the book. She now wandered around the meadow, where she found some other friends gathered around a box. "Ah, wise Petunia," they shouted, "we found this box in the ditch by the road. Maybe it's food, Petunia. Please tell us what the writing says on it." "Glad to help," said Petunia. "Now let's see. Why, candies. That's what it says on the box. Yes, candies. You may eat them." "Yes, of course." Well, actually, what it says is danger, and it says firecrackers. It doesn't say candy. It says firecrackers. No sooner had Petunia given the word than 7 greedy mouths tore up the box and grabbed the candies out of it, and kaboom! What a sight the animals were. Some were burned, some were bruised. Straw still suffered in silence from his toothache. Noisy still moaned. Ida was still worried about all of her chicks, and King still brooded over his comb. And all the barnyard was in trouble, and all because of Petunia. Petunia's pride and wisdom had exploded with the firecrackers. Her neck had shrunk back to its old size and was all bandaged up. She was the saddest of all, for now she saw that she was not one bit wise. But suddenly Petunia spied the book. The firecrackers had opened it wide so the pages showed. She had never seen inside the book before. Now there she saw there was something written inside of the book which she could not read. So she sat down and thought and thought and thought until at last she sighed. Now I understand. It was not enough to carry wisdom under my wing in the book. I must put it in my mind and in my heart. And to do that, I need to learn how to read. So she's realizing that just carrying the book doesn't make her wise. She has to put it in her mind and in her heart and learn how to read. Petunia was filled with joy. At once she began to work so that one day she too would truly be wise. And then she could help to make her friends happy. So I love the story of Petunia because I think it teaches a really wonderful lesson. So let's think first. Okay, so at the beginning of the story, what does Petunia find? She finds a book, right? And what had she heard from someone? She had heard that he who owns a book is wise. So she heard that from someone. So she went and believed that that was truly true. And so she went on and she decided that she would help her friends. But before that, she was becoming prouder and prouder because she simply carried this book under her arm like this, right? Well, that doesn't really make you wise. So, but what was happening is, as she was becoming prouder and prouder, she was not really thinking about her other friends. So, for example, when she went to see Ida the hen, what was that? Okay, so she was using addition for Ida. Poor Ida was worried about all her chicks. And Petunia made a mistake and came up with the wrong number, right? And it worried Ida more because I believe it ends up that she thought that she had more than 9 chicks. when actually she only had her same amount of chicks. But because Petunia added them up wrong and told Ida, then Ida was worried, right? Okay, so she left Ida worried. What was Straw's problem? His tooth hurt, right? So she said, I'm going to pull out all your teeth. Is that what the dentist does? No, the dentist is usually pretty wise. And what was Cotton's trouble? What was the cat's trouble? Got up in the tree and couldn't come out, right? So Petunia suggested that they all climb on top of each other. And then what happened? Clover the cow sat down, right? And they all fell down, okay? And then at the end of the story, what happened? She told them all that it was candy, right? And it wasn't candy. So all of Ida's friends were listening to her because she seemed really confident and she seemed to know what she was doing. And so they were all going to her with their problems. But what they didn't realize was that nothing had changed about Petunia other than she had a book stuck under her arm. Okay? So as they started, so what happened each time Petunia was helping her friends? Did it make the problems better or did it make it worse? It made them worse. Very good. Okay. And so really, sometimes when you become too proud of yourself, meaning you stop thinking about your friends and you think just only about yourself, you probably aren't going to really help a lot of people, right? So, why do you think they kept choosing to go along with her? Because she kept saying, sure, I can fix the problem, no problem, glad to help. So, what do you think maybe the animals could have done differently? Sometimes it helps to try and figure out your own problem. You can certainly ask for help, but if someone says, oh, that's easy to fix, let me show you how to do it, you might want to listen first and then think to yourself, is this the way I would do it? Or maybe is there a better way to do it? Being wise is sometimes listening to yourself and not just listening to other people. All right, so, but Petunia did do something that was truly wise at the end of the story. Her other things, I wouldn't say that they were wise at all, but she did do something truly wise at the end of the story. What did she decide she needed to do? She needed to learn how to read. Exactly. All right, so, and she said, and it's my favorite line, it wasn't enough to carry a book. She had to put it in her mind and in her heart. And if she did that, then she would truly be wise. And I am so proud of all of you this year because I have watched you truly put it in your minds and in your hearts. And watching you learn how to read this year has been an amazing, amazing journey for Mrs. Rooney and Miss McNichol. So you are going to be Petunia this morning. Well, you are silly gooses anyhow, but in a good way. So this morning, you have this paper, and it says Petunia up in the corner, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to write your name up at the top, like we always do, right? Okay, and down at the bottom it says, I want to read because. Now, Petunia wanted to read so she could be wise. You are going to write your own finish to that sentence. So I want to read because. Now I'm going to do mine and I'm going to show you how I'm going to tap out mine. So the very first word I'm going to finish off my sentence with, I want to read because I like to learn. I do. I like to learn. So I want to read because, and I'm going to start with my sight word I, right? I, and then we have that sight word like, okay? 2-finger space. I like, and then we have another sight word, to. I like to, And then I'm going to tap out learn, and I'm going to put down the letters for the sounds that I hear. O, n, learn. Now before I do that, what's that first sound? O, L, very good. Okay, now I know I hear that O, which is R, right? We hear that sound. But I also know that my word has to have a vowel in it. So I'm going to pick one of my vowels that I think would be going before that R, because I have to have a vowel in my word. So I know my vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. So let's think about it. A is A. Arn. No, that doesn't really make sense. A, E. Let's try E. I could maybe do an E. I. Earn. I could maybe do an I. Arn. Now that doesn't seem to make sense. Or arn. That's kind of awkward. I think I'm going to use an E or an I. I think I'm going to use my E. Okay. And there's that R. To earn. I hear an N. Very good. Okay. And then I'm going to put a period. So my sentence is, I want to read because I like to learn. And then I'm going to draw a picture right up here of me learning. Okay. I like to read because I want to read because I like to learn. And then I'm going to draw a picture to go with that. Okay? All right. You are going to do the same thing, and you are going to show or share with us on Flipgrid why you want to read. Good job, friends.